All right, and we are back with a new episode of Real in the Field. And thank you, as always, to Blake Means for the intro music. Except this time, it's a Name Taken song.
Woo.
Guitarist for Name Taken. It is an honor to have you here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, we did this whole podcast just to have you on for this specific moment.
You're being mightily let down.
So thank you for that. I mean, you were here celebrating the 20th anniversary of Hold On, the Orange County Gem album that came out in 2004? 2004. I mean, unbelievable album. Everybody still talks about it. I still listen to it. Everybody. And you know Blake from way back. When do you know him from?
Yeah, we first met in middle school.
7th grade PE.
7th grade. I was trying to think what classes we had together, but I knew. So PE we had together.
PE was by far the most memorable, whatever it was.
PE was awkward time for everyone at that age. But yeah, we had classes together. And then back in the day, I knew that you liked music, and we would talk about music and stuff like that. And you even performed at our school.
Yeah, it was the most fun day of an 8th grader could possibly have.
Yeah, I totally remember that. But when did your music, the initial, I'm going to pick up a guitar, I'm going to start doing this, like, when did that start for you?
Super young. I mean, my first music wasn't really guitar related. I mean, it had guitars in it, obviously, but it wasn't guitar focused. But Michael Jackson was my number one as like a little kid. Like my mom just recently found a letter from when I was like 6 years old, writing a letter to like Michael Jackson, like, can I be in your band, basically?
Dude, that's awesome.
Which it sounds like it could have gotten in his band pretty easily.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing that never got mailed out.
You cut that out. Yeah, so super, super young. But then my brother, interestingly enough, had super different musical tastes growing up, but he was 2 years older than me. He was super into music, and he would always like bring stuff home, and I don't know about that. But then he slowly started bringing home these things like punk rock CDs and stuff like that. Yeah. And that was probably when I was like 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. And that's when I was like, oh, I want to play guitar.
Nice.
And I would we had a guitar that didn't have any strings. I'd pretend to be playing it with everything. So yeah, I probably started somewhere around that.
What were those bands like? What were some of those early bands that you listened to?
Oh man, well, it's pretty funny, like 30-year anniversary. So I was 9. I'll never forget him bringing home the first Korn self-titled album with Blind on it.
Oh, so good.
I was
right
9.
up this guy's alley.
I was 9, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. But you know, around that time, obviously Nirvana was getting big. Yeah. My first albums I ever bought were Weezer Blue Album or like Bush 16 Stone. I got on cassette. Yeah. I remember Green Day Dookie I got on cassette.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all like, you know, stuff that nowadays, like if a little kid heard that, I don't know if they'd like it, but back then it was like kind of blowing our minds that this stuff was getting made.
That stuff was, I feel like entering in that. It was all
guitar focused.
Yeah, like we entered into that like era of music, and everything was just like, it kind of got out of like the 80s, like whatever that kind of era of music was, and then you started getting to the 90s, kind of like that style of music, and it was so kind of iconic, you know, when you look back on it now. But yeah, such a big influence.
It was leaving the grunge phase into like a little bit of a... But the punk and then the new metal a little bit. I remember my brother went to a Metallica concert and Korn opened up for him.
There you go.
Right? And he comes home from the concert and goes, you need to listen to this. And I was like, okay. And I remember putting it in my little like CD player, like in the middle of the living room. And I was blown away by Blind and like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Did you have the, like the headphones, like with the CD player that you had to like hold very gingerly? Otherwise
of course. Of course. Oh no. Of course. Yeah.
My brother was just like, he was so like, again, he's only, so if I was 9, he's 11, and somehow he's into all this stuff. He'd like come home with like demo tapes and stuff. Like, where'd you get that? I don't know. I still to this day don't know.
Producer?
He's always on like street teams. He like subscribed to like magazines and say he wants to be on the street team. So they like send you stuff.
Oh yeah,
like K-Rock to people.
Yeah, K-Rock street team.
And that was kind of a big part of it. Yeah. So that's kind
of
that
was, and we did like, I think K-Rock has been like, I mean now that we look back on it, K-Rock has been. They were setting the trends. They were like introducing music. If they heard something that was cool, like they would put it out. And I think that's how we all discovered music, like listening to K-Rock and hearing new bands that we never would have heard of otherwise.
Yeah.
And I think living in Southern California, we had a lot of really cool local music.
Yeah.
That I could talk about later, but
yeah,
I think we were just super lucky to have like bands like from Elmo or from Anaheim. Like, you know, No Doubt was from Anaheim, and they were huge at that time. One of my favorite bands in that age was Homegrown, and they were from El Medina. So stuff like that.
You're picking up all this new influence of music. Like, do you learn a song? Is like when you pick up the guitar, what song do you learn? What's like the first song that you learned?
Dude, I'll never forget. I was 12, and my dad took me to get a guitar, and he took me to a pawn shop first.
Yeah.
And I looked at all these guitars, and I found this really cool looking guitar I liked. It was the junkiest guitar on the face of the planet. He takes me over to Guitar Center next door. That's still there. It's the Guitar Center in Costa Mesa or Fountain Valley. And I see like a pretty nice guitar actually. And he's like, you should get this one. I was like, no, I want that other one.
Yeah.
I still have this other guitar I got, but it's the crappiest guitar on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Brought it home. And I've never had lessons to this day. And I picked it up. I was like, I think I could like listen to a song and play it. And I put on Nevermind Nirvana. I was like playing with it. I was like, I think I figured, and I would see music videos and I'd see what their fingers are doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was 12, brought home a guitar, and that night learned like 2 or 3 Nirvana songs. And I was like, yeah, I love this.
Dude, that's
Smells like
really
Teen
cool.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Come as you are.
Yeah. All the hits that everyone learns
Love
their
it.
first
Is that
song.
what you learned?
Everyone are, within
Yeah.
2 or 3 years of us, and they liked that kind of music. It's like, oh, anyone can play this, which is kind of what punk rock is about. It's kind of for anyone, but
Yeah.
Dude, that is so cool.
yeah,
That is so cool.
yeah. It's mostly just watching music videos. That's how I learn songs now. Is I'll watch a band play it live, and I'll just kind of watch it through and try to figure it out.
Yeah, that is, I mean, in the little bit of like guitar that I've known, it is. I tend to kind of do that same thing where you kind of hear a song and you think like, oh, that sounds. I can kind of feel like the melody, and it's not. There's not a lot of like changes in the chords.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get it, and you kind of realize like, yeah, a lot of the songs are very similar in
Right.
their chords. It's just like different chords in a different arrangement.
Well, I'll
kind
never
of thing.
forget when I was a little kid, I literally thought there's only like 4 different chord structures.
Yeah.
Like there's this way to play a song and this way to play a song, and that's the only way you can play songs. So yeah,
Dude,
if it was
that's
easy, I
awesome.
could play it.
Yeah.
If it's hard, I still can't play it. So.
All right, so never had a lesson.
I did have like 2 lessons in like 7th grade, maybe. And I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. After I'd played for like 2 years or something like that,
Yeah.
or 3 years, my mom tried to hook me up for like my birthday or something. I was like, yeah, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I love playing guitar, but I don't love it in that way, if that makes sense. Like
Any other instruments?
I can like, so like our drummer, Danny, for name taken, who recorded Hold On With Us, lived in Downey, and we practiced in Majeska Canyon. So it was like an hour and a half drive for him. So he just left his drums at our house in high school. And I got really good at drums. I was pretty proud of myself. And I was probably better at drums, honestly, than I was ever at guitar.
Really?
So I think if I got back into drums, I could eventually get back there. But I definitely suck at them now. It's been a very long time.
So it's just
I
like
love
that
drums.
musical.
Yeah. Like I
musical
can
ear.
make a piano sound okay. I have no idea how to play a piano, stuff like that.
There's like, I feel like there's people who either have that or don't. Like you can either like kind of pick, like hear the melody or hear like how things should sound. And like drums is like a lot of rhythm in that. So, and same thing with guitar.
And I think there's like different types of these people. Like I have played guitar for, how old am I? Almost 40, so 30 years or whatever it is.
Christ.
Yeah. And I still can't shred a guitar. I don't have that in me. I can't play a solo.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a cover band now. I'm like, I'm literally not playing any of the solos. That's you, dude. You don't want me to try?
Yeah. Well, we should mention that Little Strokes is the cover band that you're in. You guys are going to be playing a show, and we'll give all the details. But yeah, that's the band that you're currently in, Little Strokes now. So if you
super
do want
fun.
to see a member of Name Taken,
That's going to be on the banner, on the billboard. Featuring a way more famous band is in that band than me, but yeah.
All right, well let's talk about Name Taken. So how did the band form?
Yeah.
How did all the members come together? How did you guys come up with the name? Like, take us back to when it started.
Yeah, Name Taken is essentially me, Chad, and Ryan, me, the other guitar player, and the singer. We kind of had like a revolving door of drummers, those poor guys put up with us. But I met Chad in 7th grade also, same place and time I met you.
Was it PE class?
It was, I didn't know it was honors English. I was sitting outside.
Oh,
It was-
Show off over here.
This is about to take a turn. Not a dark turn, but I'm not showing off. Yeah, I'm sitting outside my first class. I have my little thing that tells you where you're going. I see I have English class. I'm sitting there, and this guy comes up to me. It's Chad. Comes up next to me. He's like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "Hey, dude." He's like, "Hey, do you skate?" Because everyone skated back then. That was the first words Chad ever said to me. We still joke about it to this day. And I was like, of course I do, man. So we immediately started talking. He's like, "Oh, so you're in honors, huh?" I was like, "No, that's not for me, man." He's like, "Well, I think you're going to the wrong class then." Like, oh, well, what is this? He's like, yeah, that H means you're going to honors. I was like, I did not know that.
I do not belong there.
So then my claim to fame, so me and Chad met then, but my claim to fame is I was the first person ever in the history of San Diego Middle School, I don't know if this is true, to get kicked out of honors English. So I didn't last long.
All right, that adds up now. That makes sense.
So again, I was trying not to brag. So that's how I met Chad. I knew he liked music. We liked music. We didn't really play music together. I joined another band with our friends Blake and Nick and CJ. We're the band that played in 8th grade.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. Nick
that
Chung.
was super fun. Played with them for 2.5 years, whatever that was. In high school, I kind of realized I wanted to take it a little more seriously. I was like, I really wanted, like, we were having a ton of fun and stuff, but I just didn't feel that it was super serious. But at the same time, I just wanted to play music as much as possible. So this guy, Brett, you know Brett.
Yeah, Brett Meisenbach.
Okay, yeah. I try not to say last names because I don't know if you're like, dude, don't talk about me.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I'll bleep it.
Yeah. Brett, bleep.
Meisen, bleep.
I was like, that's me. But yeah, so I heard that they were like talking about music together. And so one day I just went to practice with me, Brett, Rich, and Chad, and we jammed. It was super fun. It was awesome. That turned into a thing called All That's Left, and we made like a little fun EP. No, actually, that happened later. But anyways, did a little thing. Eventually, we felt like Rich wasn't taking it seriously enough. We kicked Rich out. We're 14 years old. I don't know what we're doing. And,
This is serious,
man.
Committed to the band, bro.
Dude. He's like, you don't even care about our future. Yeah, so like, we did. So then it was just me, Chad, and Brett for a couple years, or a year probably. Yeah, a year.
And Brett was like I remember watching Brett play drums. That guy was like incredible. It seemed like he was just like so quick and just like what he could do was like effortlessly.
He was the opposite of me. You know, like he's a guitar shredder, but he's a drummer, but he's a shredder. Like he could just rip, and he's like a little kid. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And he could sing and play guitar, do all those things. So yeah, definitely more talented than I. And then he quit on us. So then. After like a year of a 3-piece, we're like, we need another guitar player. I still, to this day, I think I even asked Ryan recently and don't remember what he said. Don't remember how he got introduced to us.
Yeah.
But I just remember him showing up.
I think he went to Saravilla because he ended up at Villa Park, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he was Saravilla because we played baseball together.
You guys played ball together. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he was like, I don't know how you guys would have.
Well, yeah, so someone connected us. I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget him like showing up one day. Oh, who's this rich kid from Villa Park?
See, there you go.
Who does he think he is? So
Sweeney.
let's try it, dude. And like the second he played together, like I played with him, I was like, I love this guy. Like it was just like us playing together was so like fun. Like he has a very different style from me.
Yeah.
That's why I think we kind of worked out so well, is that him and I wrote everything together, just together but separate. And he would think something I would never think of. So that's how I met Ryan. He just showed up on our doorstep one day, apparently.
It just appeared.
And then that became Name Taken. We recorded something, I don't know what it was, and we put on a website. And it's like, you cannot use the name All That's Left. It is taken by another band.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, guys, we got to think of another name. I can't put it on the internet. And they're like, all right, well, we'll think of something. We couldn't think of anything.
MySpace or something?
Just way before MySpace.
Oh, it was,
this is before Friendster even. This is 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna put Name Taken for now, like, and then we'll like think of something later.
Yeah.
And after weeks go by, I'm like, everyone's like, dude, I got nothing. I was like, well, I'm not changing it because I can't think of anything either. And that's literally how we got our name. We were too lazy to actually think of something. So
it's such a great. I love those like origins because it's like it's such a like organic way of coming up with the name. It's not like some kind of like pretentious way of doing it.
Name too.
But that's what's so great about, especially that like era of music too. It is kind of like stupid. Like the song like Stupid.
Thanks, dude.
Stupid Chad.
Our first EP is All That's Left was called the Stupid Chad EP, which we printed in his parents' house. Amazing.
Which is so good and it's so fitting. Like you guys, like as much as you guys were taking yourself seriously, you could still kind of poke fun at yourselves.
Yeah.
And that name is like, I feel like just so fitting for that. It's like just kind of dicking around, just dudes just like who love music, who play together and just want to have fun. And
well, thank you.
It's I think it's fitting.
I don't even hear the name anymore. It's just, I don't hear the words. I just hear Name Taken. Like, it's just like a thing. It's like
now,
not words.
It's taken out. It's become less of two separate words or having like its own meaning. And it's now just this like entity.
I think that's generally how the entire world feels about it.
Oh yeah, from here to all like across the globe.
All right, so the first time I saw you guys was at Chain Reaction.
Yeah, that's our home.
Yeah. So what years was that?
So that was probably 2000. I'll never forget. We had to like sell tickets for our first,
Right,
I don't know,
okay.
dozens
Yeah.
of shows. I don't even know. And say we're walking around Elmo. So I'm gonna say that was
Yeah, it was high school.
Sophomore
Yeah,
year.
yeah, no,
So I'm
it
gonna
was
say
high school,
sophomore
yeah.
year. So 2001, 2002.
Okay, because I remember I drove. Like I remember I drove like a couple
El
people,
Camino?
and we. I don't remember what I drove, but I
Yeah.
remember like
Well,
I
when's your
drove.
birthday? Like, what month?
April 10th.
So it was near the end of sophomore year then.
Okay, yeah. So I remember driving to the show and being like, "Oh man, I'm like driving to a show, right? Like, it's a big deal, you know what I mean?" And like, and then, but eventually you guys started touring,
Yeah.
correct? So like, how soon from that show did the touring start, and like, kind of like,
Yeah. Like,
where did that go?
like proper touring didn't come until later, but playing far shows, driving to Vegas or something on a weekend. And I was literally just talking to my mom, like, I'm so thankful that my mom trusted us to do this. I can't believe she let us do this, but like probably junior year, we'd be like, hey, we got a show in Vegas. Can we drive to Vegas and play a show? Like, all right, fine. I guess you guys. And yeah, so that's when that started. We'd go to like Northern California, sort of, to us, it was Northern California. It definitely wasn't like we were in like Three Rivers or something, but
Yeah, Thousand Oaks.
yeah, no, yeah, it was Thousand Oaks. I do remember playing shows in Thousand Oaks, which to us,
It's
like,
2 hours away.
Yeah, and like
north.
maybe like we'd go to Arizona or something like that. But it was just like
Okay.
random. It was like friends of a friends would get us a show back then.
Well, that's the
happened.
question then is how do you get that set up? How do you get like that? I mean, even if it's a smaller tour, like how does that get set up? Who sets it up?
Yeah, back then it was all just like networking through like you'd play a local show and you'd meet someone and you talk to them. Like this band, they were called Through Being Cool at the time. They became this band called Amity. It's how we met our drummer Danny.
Yeah.
It's just meeting people like them. Like, hey, you were playing a house party in Downey this weekend. You want to play that? And be like, sure. We go to Downey and play a house party. And we'd be like, we're playing a party in Tustin. You would come to that. And that's how that all kind of built.
So how does that like the tour like that small kind of thing go? Like you guys just load up in someone's car, like you rent a van, or
Yeah, we
how
have
does
a
that-
friend, Eric Melendez, who's my brother. I said a last name.
Oh,
We'll believe it.
Yeah, we had a friend, Eric, who we called our manager because he was super nice to us and had a huge Suburban and would let us load all of our stuff in his car.
Nice.
And he would drive us around. Like, yeah, before we, especially before I had a license, I waited a while because I was like, I'm not getting a car, I'm not getting a license.
I don't want to be
he would
stuck
drive
with
us
that
around. Yeah,
responsibility.
that's how that kind of worked. And then like Brett's dad would be like, all right, pack in my Suburban and I'll take you. We'd take like 3 cars to a show at the Glass House or something.
Yeah. At what point does it become like kind of like more serious? Like because you guys are going out, you're playing shows. I mean, that in itself, just being able to go out and like play in front of people has got to be super rad. And you guys are
fun.
like, how many people are you playing in front of at that time? Like,
Oh, I mean, when we broke up, we were still playing shows of 2 people. So it was all over the place. All like, there'd be shows with 5 people. There'd be shows with maybe a couple hundred people max.
Yeah.
But then I think junior year, we played a show with that band Amity I mentioned from Downey at some like random community center in Watts, I remember. And afterwards, this guy comes up to us. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get into managing bands. Can I be your manager? And we're like, no one's ever asked that before. Sure. And this guy named Lance, who like went on to be like a pretty legit manager and stuff. Cool guy. And he's who kind of made it serious. Like he'd be like, hey, I'm gonna start talking to booking agents for you guys. I'm gonna start doing things a manager, a band or business manager does.
Yeah.
I think that was probably early junior year when that kind of started.
Yeah. So then it starts becoming kind of a little bit more serious and
That
you guys
kicked
start-
off the seriousness of it.
Yeah.
So when the seriousness kicked off, when did you guys get signed?
So
Or
that,
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do you like that? You guys got discovered. Like, how does that part?
yeah,
kinda
I
happen?
don't think we've been discovered yet, but we're gonna get there. No, probably so later in the junior year. He started having us play like showcases for labels. So like we'd be like, oh man, we're gonna play for Interscope this weekend and stuff
okay.
like that. And those things, and we'd almost get signed to labels and it wouldn't happen.
Where do you like do those at?
It'd be a normal show.
Okay.
But like they would
get
have,
some
but
execs
they'd
or
be like,
something
just
come
so you
up.
know, a couple labels are gonna be there to watch you guys.
Gotcha.
Got
So
it,
like,
yeah.
oh, it's in the Troubadour, that's in LA. A bunch of labels will come to that one type of thing.
Yeah.
Or like, this kind of more popular band, they'll make sure their label's there to watch you guys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of kept doing that until finally towards the end of senior year, this record label called Fiddler and another record label, I don't remember who it was at the time, gave us an offer and we went with Fiddler and that was history.
Yeah. All right. So before that, and I don't know how comfortable or how it's, you and I have talked about this before, but Tom DeLonge had a record label. What was like the story with that? Like, Was there some talk about?
You said Tom's last name. He's not going to like that.
I'll bleep that one out too.
So that was
Wait, sorry.
Those who don't know who that is.
Yeah. So Tom DeLonge, the guitarist from Blink-182, at some point started his own record label. But wait, before we get into that, we do got to take a quick break. So if you're cool talking about that, we'll come back and we'll get into that story.
Yeah, I'll do all your fact checking on what you said.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back after this.
This episode is brought to you by Force 3 Fitness in Orange.
Are you looking for a place to level up your fitness journey? Look no further than Force 3 Fitness in Orange.
Owned and operated by fitness coach Shad Gibbons, Force 3 Fitness is a semi-private training facility dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself.
They offer personalized training programs that cater to your individual needs, whether you're a hardworking parent, like my wife Jen, who goes and trains with Shad, a busy professional, or anyone looking to improve their health and fitness.
With a focus on strength, flexibility, and overall wellness, they provide a supportive environment to help you reach your goals.
And right now, Coach Shad Gibbons is offering Real in the Field listeners their first session on him. Just visit them in Orange or check out their Instagram page at Force3Fitness. All right, and we are back from break. All right, the Tom DeLonge story. We talked about it briefly a while back. What's the deal with that? What happened with that?
Yeah, so you guys, you asked about like what were like some of my early bands. I'll never forget my brother again in like probably 5th grade showing me Cheshire Cat.
Yeah. So
Blink-182 was a huge deal to me as a young kid too. So one of the things our manager did was he's like, hey, I met this really cool label owners of this label called Side One Dummy.
Yeah.
Who's still an amazing record label. They have like Pup on them. I think you like Pup too, but
yeah,
a rad band. And they want to do a showcase or whatever. So we met the guys at Side One Dummy. They were so rad. Play your best set, which means we definitely sucked that night.
Around.
Anytime we were supposed to be really good, we were really bad. Every time. Oh man. They came out. They were super rad dudes. We ended up hanging out with them a bunch.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. I don't remember exactly the timeline of things, but at some point, so again, we were sponsored by Atticus and Macbeth, the clothing and shoe companies. And we had met Side One Dummy. Atticus and Macbeth were Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus' companies from Blink-182.
Yeah.
And Side One Dummies was a record label. They wanted to get together and make an Atticus, this is my understanding 22 years later, wanted to make an Atticus record label partnered with Side One Dummy. Because like, hey, you're like the record label, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're Mark and Tom from Blink-182. We can find talent and promote, and make a thing.
Yeah.
So they were trying to find their first band to launch that record label. So we were on this compilation called like Atticus Dragging the Lake, which was probably still like the biggest thing we were ever on. People bring that up all the time. I don't even know what song's on it.
Yeah.
Must be some old demo from when we were like 17 years old or something. But so with that, they were like, all right, Mark Hoppus is going to come to your show at the Epicenter in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's freaking cool. Again, I'm now 17 and I've been listening to this guy since I was 10.
Yeah.
And when I was 10, he was my favorite band in the entire world.
Dude,
this is crazy.
Yeah. Like just that alone.
And the Epicenter is a weird venue. We'd play there a bunch. Sorry, Epicenter, if you're listening. It has like a pole right in the middle of the stage, like in front of the singer. The sound's not great. So Mark comes to the show. We actually played really well.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it because the guy was just saying we always sucked when we were supposed to be really good. And the funniest thing is you were asking if I ever sang. Me and Ryan are just not meant to ever even talk. That's even a lot for me right now. So, but I'll never forget after the show, Mark comes up to this nice guy on the freaking planet. He's like, dude, you guys killed it. There was no one there. There was like 20 people there. And then Mark Hoppus standing in the back. He's like, you guys even nailed those harmonies. And me and Ryan looked at each other. I was like, sucker.
Damn right we did.
No, it was not. It was we got him. It was like before imposter syndrome was a thing. Like, he snuck right in there. It was so cool. He took us out to this deli, and our friend CJ was selling merch with us, so he came too. And we went out and had dinner with Mark Hoppus, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me." That kind of went on for a little bit. We eventually went to the Atticus building once and met Tom real quick. Yeah. Also super cool. He's like, "Oh, I heard you're the band that Mark's been seeing and stuff." Like, because it was definitely like early conceptual for them. It wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah. Right. But it was at the ground level, and they were just scoping bands to bring on. But dude, just the fact that you're on their radar, just
And here I am,
itself.
40. Like that was still like one of the funnest times of my life. In a pretty crazy world. Mark took me and Ryan, our other guitar player, out to pizza lunch once, and he went with Matt Skiba of Alkaline Trio, who was he replaced Tom DeLonge for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And so it's weird. I look back and I'm like, whoa, it was starting
weird.
back
Like
then.
you were in all that. What was it like going to lunch with them? Not to get sidetracked from that story, but like, what'd you guys talk about?
Well, they're older than us. They're adults. We're kids. I'm immature at 39. Imagine when I was like at 17.
How many fart jokes did you?
We honestly, if I remember correctly, we talked about music. Probably made a fart joke or two, or way more than that, and then I just listened to them talk. It was awesome. Those were times where like they would get us to go to we go to like Atticus photo shoots, and I'd see like, oh, there's this band, and we'd like our vibe back then was we're kids. We're not serious. These are serious musicians. That's kind of how we always were. Which is probably part of why we weren't very successful. Is we always kind of saw ourselves as just like kids out there trying to do stuff.
But I think that's just such a like the charm of Name Taken is like I kind of said before. It's like that's always been your like feeling, and I think that's what people just like love about it. That's what I love about it. There's that kind of innocence, that like not taking yourself serious, but still earnestly playing and doing stuff that you love, and it comes out in like in the music.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So how did it all like finish
They
up?
realized we weren't very good. Honestly, probably part of it. I remember like they had us record some demos, not them, like Side One Dummy did, and we kept doing stuff. And eventually Lance was just like, I just don't think they're going to do the record label thing, and they didn't. It just didn't happen. So it just kind of fell apart over.
So their plan didn't. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe their plan fell apart because they realized they were looking at a crappy band called Name Taken. They're like, what are we doing out here?
They would be so lucky to have Name Taken on their label.
It never became anything, but it was awesome. It was so fun.
So then it was after that is when you signed with Fiddler.
Yeah, I think that was all like summer going into senior year, probably something like that, if I had to guess. And then at the end of senior year was when we met Fiddler or signed with Fiddler. Yeah. All that stuff.
And then, so are you touring like once you sign with them, or are you like, when do you start kind of working on when you start working on this album and like writing songs? Do they kind of like give you like if you're at a restaurant, like here's an order, like this is what we need? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, I think a lot of record labels back in the day probably did work like that. Indie labels were kind of like, we signed you because we want you to do what you want to do. Okay. Obviously, they would like give us some guidance and like stuff. Yeah. But we were still in high school, so we couldn't do too much. Yeah. So we were just kind of still playing our shows, waiting to graduate. Like I don't remember anything that happened at school the second half of senior year. I was just like, like none of this matters.
Nowhere near do I. Lunch with Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus. I don't think any of that stuff that happens.
I want to mention this because I love upsetting my mom with this. She was like, you are taking the SATs. I'm like, Mom, that's for people going straight to college. I'm not. She's like, I know, but I want you to do this for me. It's like, there's a fight forever. I finally did it. I sit down to take the SATs, never studied once for them. If the question was too long, I would just skip it. I got like the worst score you could possibly get. And she's like, I'm going to kill you. I brought this up to her recently, and she's still mad. I'm like, I graduated college eventually. Like, I'm fine. What's the problem here? But senior year was just all music. Yeah. The second we graduated, like the week after we graduated, we went on tour. Like we just hit the road. I don't know if we bought our van then. I think we probably did, but I don't remember super accurately. Yeah. We just pooled our funds. Maybe the record label gives a tiny bit of money. Yeah. So do they so you sign with them, and what is that? I mean, okay, you're putting pen to paper, you're signing this deal. Like what is involved in that deal? Like what are you signing? Yeah. You're agreeing basically to like how many records you're going to make. When does the deal end? How much money we get out of each record? I remember specifically we were one of, obviously not the first, but like one of the first record deals that included streaming royalties. That's again how long ago this was. Because streaming was just becoming a thing. Like Napster and stuff had all existed, but people weren't actively thinking about it as like a business. Right. So, what was that, LimeWire? Yeah, LimeWire was one of them. Yeah, dude, but that was like the free one though. Yeah, that was like that was the shady one. Yeah, they were all breaking everyone's computers. I know my brother broke ours a couple times. Yeah, from music. Yeah, oh my music. Oh, the music. Why is this music called Ooh Ooh Music? Anyways, so that basically was just
music so hot.
Why are you so sweaty from this music? Pull it together, guys. So yeah, that's all it is it's like any contract, like, you know, when you sign a house contract, you know, or you know, you agree on anything, it's just negotiating what every little bit is. How about 12% instead of 12.5%, and just pushing the needle.
Merchandise, in this case, streaming, because it's just coming on on board. Same thing, ticket sales and all that stuff. That's all worked into that. It's so interesting. So, are you writing the album as you like once you got signed? Had you been writing it before?
Yeah, Hold On is literally like a Frankenstein. Like, there's a reason I only like maybe half the songs on there.
Yeah.
Because half the songs we wrote and rewrote and changed, and since I was literally 14. Like, We Give Up Sometimes, the first iteration of that was called Today's Song, because we wrote it and we're like, it's today's song. We wrote it today. There's the song.
Dude, I love that, man. I love all those. Like,
it's just like how Name Taken.
Yeah.
But that song was originally written with Brett when we were probably 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of all of that. But so like, basically when we were going to make the record, it was like, all right, what songs can we Frankenstein? And then how many songs do we need to write on top of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Take us through the writing process.
Yeah.
Like, who was it? Music first, lyrics? Did everyone contribute? Like, who were the main?
Yeah. Lyrics were definitely last, Chad. The lyrics were written in the final hour at every moment, and totally understandable. I think a lot of bands work that way because it's hard, man. Like, I can't even imagine having to do that.
So did you come up with like?
And so Tony actually made me do a brain exercise. He didn't make me, but he like brought up, hey, how are songs written? And it made me do a brain exercise, and I actually went through each song in my head about how they were written. Yeah. And that was super fun. But they're all totally different. A lot of songs, I would just write a song on an acoustic guitar, and then once everyone got there, we'd play it and be like, that's pretty cool. And then we'd build from there. Yeah. A lot of songs, Ryan would do the same thing. A lot of times, you know, we'd practice for 5 hours, and in those 5 hours, someone would do something cool, and do that, and just build off that. And
do more of that.
I think it's how a lot of, you know, non-song, you know, people that don't actually know how to write music, I think that's how they usually make songs.
Yeah.
But like, I also had this awesome pedal that I still have. I actually just posted a video of this on Facebook the other day because I still have the pedal of how I wrote Cover Up.
Okay.
Because Cover Up has like a looping riff in it. And I'll never forget, I was like playing with that pedal, and that pedal could also record. So I was like dubbing different things on it and then like looping it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. If not written, conceptualized on that little Line 6 pedal.
No way.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. One little thing. Are you getting inspiration from, like, are you trying to sound like a band? I mean, I know,
absolutely.
Like, because like, you know, when we like even doing this podcast, like we are, you know, as much as we're trying to be ourselves, we're also trying to take influence and maybe kind of sound like, you know, it's kind of a hard way to kind of like frame that. But yeah, you do. You see what other people have done and you kind of make it your own. Like, what bands were you trying to like emulate or sound like, or just kind of take inspiration from?
Yeah. That's also super tough, again, because some of those songs were written years before and later.
Right.
But I think when Hold On specifically was being recorded, we loved and still love this band called Recover. Okay. I think they're a massive influence on any musician my age in this kind of scene. Yeah. They made this EP called Ceci N'est Pas Recover, and people consider it the best EP of all time. Yeah. And definitely when we made Hold On, we're like, if only you could make something kind of like that. Yeah. And Control, the first song on the album, I wrote 90% of that song, trying to sound like Recover. Dude. And I think that's probably one of our best songs. It's one of the only songs I still actually would listen to on that album.
Is it like that's my?
I was gonna say that's your jam right there.
But who decide? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, super funny. Bands we would tour with would not really care about our band, but they would always want to watch Control.
Really?
So like they'd be like, all right, I saw Control, I'm gonna go to the green room or go to the bar or something now. It's so I love it. I don't care.
Well, who decides that that's, because that's like, is it technically like your single on the album? Like, do they consider that?
Yeah, we had to, I remember, because we made a music video for it, a very horrible music video. You know, thank you guys for doing that anyways. But we were trying to pick between that and Cover Up, I remember, which I just confused the two right now. So
Dude, well, I mean, they're both very unique. I mean, every song
think
on
they
that
have
album
good
is
choruses.
so unique, and the lyrics. And I think like one of the things and one of the reasons why that album still like holds up. Like I still listen to it. I know plenty of people. I was telling you about Nate Chase, like a friend of all of ours. He listens to that
Chase.
album. Nate Chase, yeah, dude, he'd be stoked just to hear you say that. But he listens to that album like regularly. I know a lot of people who listen to that
Blows my
album
mind.
regularly, and I think it's because of the lyrics. And there is like you do feel that influence from a lot of those other bands, like what you're, kind of just. It feels like a culmination or a combination of all the bands from that era, but like kind of just like in a really unique way, almost kind of unique to like Orange and Orange County and like just like our, kind of like little.
I think we
and
had a
that
great
time
scene.
too.
Yeah,
and
great
that,
scene and a
and
great
that
time.
time. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I want to ask about a song.
Yeah,
if I
real
can.
quick, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I don't miss something because we don't give this guy enough credit.
Yeah.
On the back of the album, I'm not sure if it's on the record, but I know on the CD it mentions this guy named Rory Phillips.
Okay.
He helped us kind of craft the album. We did our pre-production with him
Yeah.
in the middle of downtown LA when we finally were going to record. And he helped Chad write a lot of those lyrics and kind of work through those songs.
Yeah.
Funny enough, he produced the final Recover record.
Oh, really?
That was kind of
geez.
like a dream guy to work with.
Dude,
He's
like
just
full
like the
circle.
most talented, rad dude. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
mention that real quick before I
So
don't
what's
give him any
his-
credit.
No, that's like huge. I mean, that's I think a lot of things, and this is kind of why like doing these interviews, because these are questions that I've had, and like maybe just we see each other all the time, but just don't, it's kind of a weird thing just to kind
don't
of like
wanna
pick
talk
your
about
brain
that
about anything. But it's all things that we want to know, and that like me as a fan like want to know about these things. So what was his part, and how did he get involved in all
Yeah,
of that?
so Recover's EP was on Fiddler Records.
Okay.
So our record label's owners, Jay and Amy, knew Rory very well.
Yeah.
And they knew that we were young and struggling to finish the album. Like,
Yeah.
you guys have songs, but I don't know
Yeah.
about that. So we
The
got this-
Frankenstein.
yeah, but we know this guy Rory, who helps write with Recover. He's their best friend. We want him. We want to put you guys in this place for a week.
Yeah.
This huge rad place in the middle of downtown LA, and just go there and figure it out.
Yeah.
And we did. We just went there with him for a week, figured it out. After we left, him and Chad stuck around an extra couple days or something like that, and just worked on vocal stuff.
Dude,
That's
that's so
awesome.
cool.
That's so cool.
It was awesome.
And
I
from
can't
that
think of
came
enough.
like some like I mean, like I was saying before, like all the songs on there I feel are so unique. Like there's no two songs that are alike. And maybe you might confuse like the names because they're like kind of similar with
They
like
start with
the
a
C. But dude, you can't confuse any of those songs. Every song on that album is so unique and has such a unique kind of like sound to it. You want to go? You want to start? You want
Yeah.
to go with mine? Things like where they're like conceptually,
Yeah,
where they started,
where they came from.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take credit for all of it. So let's go.
No, so I played this song today for my boys because I'm introducing them into corn, trying to create
There you
little
go, dude.
little corn kids, right? And like, right? No, but dude, we're like always listening to stuff and like listening to stuff, and so today I played Drive, Drive, Drive for them.
Yeah.
And they were totally digging it. So, and that's probably my favorite song on the album.
Oh, amazing.
So, how did that song come to be?
That's a Frankenstein song, so that's gonna be one of the harder ones for me to put together. I know that it's a song that we originally probably wrote when we were like 16, something like that. And I specifically remember playing it at Hoagie Bar Michael's in like Costa Mesa, Newport. And I mean, like that didn't go over well. Like I could tell.
Come on.
Because it's when we were trying. Well, it was very, very different at that time.
Okay.
But that's kind of the Frankenstein. But it's when we were listening to a lot of. And I'm not disparaging any of these bands. They're way more famous and popular and better than we are. But we were listening to way too much Thursday, and we were trying to sound like them. But that's not something that we're capable of doing. There's a different thing than us.
Yeah.
And so that's a song that over the course of years got worked through. And I think that's a song that Rory probably really did help with a lot. I know the like verse riff, like the that was probably some Thrice.
Yeah.
I-
Oh,
I-
yeah.
yeah,
I think
So
it sounds-
Ryan,
yeah, you can
Ryan,
hear
the
that
other
in
guitar
there.
player, was probably still is. I don't know. Was a massive Thrice fan, so that's probably where that kind of
That's
thing
where
came
that came
from.
from, yeah.
I remember the bridge was like we're like the song's kind of relentless. So I remember specifically I was trying to like think of something more chill for that part.
Yeah.
I've never mentioned this to anyone ever. I don't know if anyone's going to care whatsoever, but Safety Routine, which was like the first song that we ever like put out into the world when we were literally 15 years old.
Oh, dude, that blew up in
It blew
at
up
Elmo.
it blew up in high school. That had a part where it was just vocals and no music.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted to recreate that. So in the chorus, that's why the drums, everything kind of cuts out and it plays a little riff while he's still singing.
Yeah, you
That's
just
kinda
kind of
where
hear
that
like
came
kind of
from.
like it's like ringing out a little bit.
And you drive away, whatever he says. So that was a Frankenstein one. Just, and I don't know who actually wrote what in that, but that's kind of how it.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
So all right. So it's hard to choose like which song is like my favorite because every one of them, like I said, has like its own unique sound. But for the sake
there's some really bad ones. It's okay.
No, I love all of them.
I'll name them.
Don't talk about my favorite band that way.
Don't talk about Blake's band.
But Control, just because that is like the song that everybody, like you said, all the everybody that you were on tour with is like wanting to come and see that song. How involved in the lyric writing are you, or is it just 100% Chad?
Zero.
Yeah, all Chad.
I could not, would not even. When I was in that band with like Blake and Nick, I would like write lyrics and stuff. They'd be like, "You need to throw that away fast." Yeah, definitely not.
There's a reason why you got kicked out of honors English. So how did that? Well, how did that? Or like, give us the breakdown on how Control kind of came to be.
I remember Ryan. I'm pretty sure wrote the bridge. I'm pretty sure. And then I know there's like that like little shift in like the post chorus and the second chorus.
Yeah.
Where it goes a little higher. I think that was Chad.
Yeah.
But I think the rest of that, that was me. I remember making that intro riff and making the chorus riff and showing it to Ryan when he came over and us kind of putting together. And it came together probably faster than any song ever, which makes sense why it's our best song because it was a song that we was like meant to be with us.
Do you write them all on acoustic first?
It was that one was not. No, actually, no, that one was. I take it back.
Okay.
That was on acoustic.
Because you mentioned that a little bit ago. So
yeah, because like a lot of times I'd just be jamming in my room on an acoustic. Our practice space was our garage, which I lived in Majeska Canyon. If anyone knows, a canyon environment means it's like downstairs across a tree, go pull a drawbridge. So if I had something I really liked, I would go down to the electric.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a lot of stuff. But that one was written mostly on acoustic, except they're like I got the chorus riff once I got out there and started doing all that stuff.
Was that before or after you guys were signed to Fiddler?
Before.
Or
at least it was during, maybe.
Yeah.
But if we were practicing in the canyon and stuff, then we were pretty young.
And then the last one, because for a long time this wasn't really widely known, and it kind of just got lost. But as Panic at the Disco got more and more popular, early on, they would say that this is how we got our name from this band called Name Taken. And now it's like completely known, so much so that just recently it was on a Jeopardy question, which was crazy. Insane. Like Name Taken was mentioned on Jeopardy. Yeah. And the question was, where did the band Panic at the Disco get their name? And it was from a Name Taken song, Panic. And the lyric specifically is Panic at the Disco.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they didn't really
obvious.
diverge from that. It's specific. It's literally that.
They ask you guys?
I don't remember how we even found out that they got their name from us. It's obviously so long ago, but I do remember that there was a period of time where like people, I don't know if this is true or not, people say they'd like denied it in interviews, like, no, we got it from Morrissey or something like that.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, no, we know you got it from Name Taken.
It's literally.
I don't know what story is true. I don't really care that much, but apparently it is very true. And they came to a couple of the guys I remember came to our reunion show in 2007 and mentioned it or something. They were super nice. But my understanding is that's pretty obviously what it's from.
Yeah. So so you guys were like touring with after that like album comes out, you're taking the album and now it's completed. First of all, like how was the reception like when it came out? Like do you remember like what you got, like feedback you got from it?
I think it was pretty mixed, if I remember correctly. Like I remember like getting really great reviews and then getting reviews, people saying like, this sounds like literally everything else that's happening. Thanks for another one of these type thing.
Yeah.
I remember our fans were kind of split. Like our fans were used to us making kind of little kid music, honestly, and not this is any better than that. But I think I remember fans being like, why do you guys have to now sound like everyone else? I'm like, dude, we're just writing songs. We're not trying, we're trying to sound like bands we like, but we're not trying to do something very specific and be famous or something.
Yeah.
What it did do is it did give us new fans.
Yeah.
Like people that definitely did not like our band finally were like, okay, this is actually not bad.
You can't, you can't refute it. Like when you listen to it, it's very clearly like well produced, the lyrics, and to Chad's credit, like those lyrics are like just whatever the word sequence and the words that are put together, just like they just kind of hit like in a really good way that just kind of sounds. I don't know, sounds good. It sounds like just like you just want to keep listening to it.
Chad definitely wrote lyrics that I don't think he loves the lyrics anymore, but who likes things they did 20 years ago. But he wrote lyrics that there's a couple songs in there that still get me 20 years later.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely appreciate what he did.
Speaking of that, so besides Control, what would be your go-to song? Like what would you pick off the album?
Well,
if someone said like, pick me one song to like sum it up.
Yeah.
Which one would you go with?
Sum it up for myself or sum it up for them?
No.
I mean, whatever. Like
personally, especially because like this is
my second favorite song, and not on the album, but playing live and like means the most to me probably is "This Was Never."
Okay.
But I mean, I'll just tell you right now, the only songs I will even listen to on that album now are "Control," "Hold On for Your Dearest Life," "This Was Never," "Cover Up," and "Clear and Conscious."
And Drive.
And I don't. I like it. I think it's fine. It's just like, but those 5 songs, I still feel like songs that if I heard them today, I'd be like, oh, these are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I Quit My Scene. We've never played live once. We detest that song. We're so sad it's on the album.
Yeah.
But also, I've randomly met someone who's like, oh, I have a I Quit My Scene tattoo. And I'm like,
No way.
That worked out great.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think that's like so great. That's what's so great about music is like all of these songs are so personal and for different reasons. They just mean things, they mean different things to everybody. And I mean, I'm glad that Control and some of the songs, like the big, like popular song like Control is still something that you enjoy listening to. You know what I mean? That you still get a kick out of.
I can handle it.
Detest it because of, it's like the most popular song on the album. All right, so you come out with the album. We touched on it just a minute ago. You're on tour with this album now. You take it out. Like how is that different, this tour, from the tour that you did early on before that? Is it just night and day?
So it's pretty funny. I do remember thinking like, oh, we're on a record label now. It's an indie label, but we're on a record label now. This is going to be legit. And getting out there and be like, oh. This is still an entry-level position in the world of music. So it was very different, but not for the reasons you'd expect. It was very different in that you never knew what you were going to get, not only on each tour, but each show. Again, I remember we in like Connecticut or something, played this massive venue, like, I don't know, 1,000 people will say, which is massive for us, obviously. And literally 6 people being there.
Really?
Literally 6. But then, we'd play a show in a pizza basement and there'd be 300 people and be the raddest show of our lives.
Oh, dude.
So the expectation
chain reaction,
it was just a roller coaster all the time.
Are you guys bussing it or vanning it at this point?
Definitely never had a bus.
No,
barely
okay.
had a van. Yeah, barely had a van. We upgraded our trailer at one point. We lived in our van too. We would sleep in Walmart parking lots in our van. We would put on our merch booth when we'd be like, I can't sleep in the van another night. We'd put a thing on our merch booth that said, can we stay with you tonight? And a lot of times people would be like, you stay with us?
Yeah.
And we stayed with so many. I still am friends with a couple
we
of
were
these
on
people.
Reddit.
Yeah.
We were on Reddit. So Joe just kind of put out, because there's still like a pretty, a big group of fans that are on there. And just to kind of say like, hey, if you can ask name taken, like anything, like what would you ask? And you're going through like just some of the old like archives of what people have said, and like, name taken gets brought up. And one of them was, oh, those guys slept on my couch.
For sure.
During high school, yeah.
During high school, yeah.
And they were the coolest guys,
Yeah.
We're not cool. Thanks, dude. Or dudette, whoever you are.
Well, they thought you were cool.
Yeah, sweet, dude. We definitely tried not to impose. I remember every person's house we stayed at, we'd like sneak in, sleep on like in between the trash on the floor, and just sneak out and leave in the morning. But yeah, touring, it was obviously super different, obviously, because now that's our life.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget, like I had to go to urgent care for something, and it's like occupation. I was like, whoa, I could try musician.
Oh,
Like, that feels weird.
Nice.
And the person looking at me, yeah, right, bud. But yeah, it was amazing.
So what? So it was an upgrade from the first one, but not.
Well, so that tour, once we really got going, was just every tour was combined. They were just like, you just got to get out there and play. So it would be like 1 week on this tour, 2 days on this tour, 3 weeks on this tour. Like I remember we just went up and down the East Coast for 2 months once.
Wow.
Doing different tours, playing different shows. Yeah, it was all over the place. There's nothing until the very end when we got a couple very legitimate tours. it was just a hodgepodge of nonsense. It was crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah, dude, what's that like being in front of, I mean, even if it is 6 people, you're still up there, like playing songs that you wrote. You're playing us like Control in front of people that you've created, you've made out of nothing, just like out of your own doing. Like, what is that? That's got to feel like, oh, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how does that feel? How's it being up on stage and just like playing your music?
Yeah, it's just the same kind of roller coaster. Like, some nights we wouldn't even feel like playing. We slept in a Walmart drive-through or parking lot for a week and we're exhausted and you didn't want to play a show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd get out there and be like, I don't care, there's 5 people. I'm in a great mood, and we'd have the best show of our lives.
Yeah.
It was all over the place, but it was definitely always interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
We didn't know when we went on tour that you'd have to like pay venues portions of your merch sales. And we had a couple of run-ins with like the owners, like they'd want to like fight us because they thought we like were hiding money from them. So it's just always a stupid adventure on all these shows.
Dude, what an up and down of all of things. Like, I mean, coming off of like just making this album, having this thing that you've created, and like all of the artistry that goes into it, and then you're dealing with this. Like, dude, that's a perfect word. Roller coaster.
Yeah. And then one of the best parts of it was our friends would be our merch guys.
Yeah.
So like we took both Chases out on tour. We took CJ out on tour. We just, would grab a friend and be like, hey, you want to go on tour for a week? And they'd be like, yeah, I'm 18. Why would I not want to do that?
Dude, I mean, perfect transition, because I did hit up Chase Menen, and I wanted to get some Chase tour stories.
So everyone knows Chase Menen. I also met in 7th grade. Look at us.
Yeah, PE.
Yeah, so one of my best friends, one of the best people I've ever met, he went on tour with us for one of my favorite tours with this band called Bear vs. Shark, who is absolutely incredible. If you've never heard of them, listen to Bear vs. Shark.
So I was telling you,
the song Catamaran is a top 10 all-time song. So anyways, that's
dude, so I know that he toured with you, and I wanted to get his... just like give me a tour story that one of like the highlights, or just something that you remember back then.
I have no idea what he's gonna say.
All right, we're gonna take a break, and then after this we'll come back.
Make sure I get a live reaction. I don't want to.
Yeah, we'll come back with Chase Menen tour story from touring with Name Taken. All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll come back after this.
This episode is brought to you by Cigar Spots. Cigar Spots is located in the Circle of Orange.
Yeah, they have all your big brands like Fuente, Padron, Tatuaje, Ilusión. I mean, they've got pretty much every brand that you can imagine. My favorite, my go-to is always the Tatuaje brand. I like the specific 2012 Sumatra. That's my smoke. What do you got?
Nice. I've been going with the Tatuaje Red Label.
Yeah, Red Label's good. So they do at-home delivery. You can place your order online, and they'll deliver your cigars straight to your house. Or you can order for pickup. You can actually order online, and then they'll have it ready for you. You can just swing in, put some hazards on, and go and pick up your cigars and be done.
And don't forget the promo code.
Promo code Tony Joe when you check out, and get yourself 20% off your order. So visit cigarspots.com and use that promo code Tony Joe. Oh, man. All right, and we are back from break. All right. So we left off Chase Menen, Road Stories. I reached out to him and just asked him, like, give me a story that you remember. And he actually took some time to kind of, like, think about, like, the one that he wanted to, since he had so many. But I'll give you just kind of the synopsis of the one that he said. Evidently, you guys were playing up north, maybe Thousand Oaks, maybe
Likely.
A little bit further up there. But there, after having been on tour, been in buses, being grimy, you had some time. Everybody was looking for a swimming hole, looking for somewhere to swim. Asked the local bartender, what's a good place? You guys rocked your asses off in front of a crowd of however many. And afterwards went to this swimming hole. You guys had a great time. And do you remember what happened at that swimming hole?
It depends if you're talking about Utah or Idaho. Is Utah or Idaho what I think you're talking about? But I'm not going to say anything because if it's the wrong story, I don't want to mention it. So
No. Let's hear it. Well, let's hear one
I'm
of
not going
them.
to say what I think it might be because I don't want to.
Well,
I'll tell you later if it's not it, why I don't want to talk about
Got it. Okay. Well, evidently he had said that they were all out like swimming, having the best time of their lives, just like, coming off of like a grimy van, just like you don't get very many showers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just nice to just bask in this water. And one of the locals came out
I know where this is going.
and
It's not what I
said, you
thought.
guys need to get out of this water because do you remember what it was?
Yeah, we learned that, I don't know if it was intentional or what, but a lot of dead cow carcasses
Yeah.
were upstream from us. A lot. And that was a tour with a band called The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were up north. We were in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And we were loving it, having so much fun. Someone told us to get the heck out of there. There's literally dead animals in this river upstream from you. And leaving, we saw it all. And we're like, well, if we die young, we know why.
Oh my god.
It was so disgusting. And yeah, like Chase said it perfectly. Like we were grimy. We just wanted to be free and just chill out. We were all joking around.
Just a high of the high.
You just made
to
me
the
realize
low.
what's wrong with me now. It all goes back to that moment.
Got permanent salmonella or something.
that was definitely a point where we felt like we couldn't catch a break.
Dude, like what else? Like, do you remember anything from that, like from the tour, like anything like that? I mean, did that memory just kind of get lost?
Yeah, like we were always the youngest band on our tours.
Yeah.
We were too young to drink. None of us drank until we were 21, really. I mean, some people did a little bit, but no one partied or anything. So nothing crazy ever happened with us.
Yeah.
People would offer us drugs and stuff all the time. But like, I'm 18, I don't do that. I still don't do that. But yeah, like nothing. It was just nonstop, 18-year-old boys doing whatever they want for months out of the year in a van, having fun. But yeah, it's unfortunate that I don't have any crazy stories to share of tour. I'm sure if someone reminded me something like, oh yeah, I can't believe that happened. But
Yeah.
So what would you say would be like the best part of touring, and what would be the worst part?
the best was making friends and hanging out and just developing our relationships in the band and stuff. Me and Ryan at one point would get really close on a tour. Me and Chad, it was so fun being able to just live our lives so freely. And again, just meeting bands and, we tour with bands we love. I mentioned Homegrown earlier.
Yeah.
One of our last tours with Homegrown, a band that I listened to again when I was in 6th grade, was my favorite band in the entire world.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff was awesome. The worst part was we probably will get to later, was not seeing any success whatsoever. Like we did not see a fan base grow. We did not have fans showing up in droves to our shows. I remember this guy, Matt, I'm going to say his last name, Matt Cheek, because he will probably love that I mentioned him. We played in this, I have no idea where he lives still. He's probably mentioned it to me a million times. We get to this town and it is a ghost town. There's no people, but we keep seeing these, and I still have one of them, a poster as big as these in windows, name taken.
No
And we're
way.
like, what is this? Like, I'm so confused. I stole one out of a window. Like, I got to keep this. And we get to the show. The show is whatever, it was fine. But this guy, Matt, that is there, and he's like a super fan. And it was like awesome. So stuff like that was so rad. Be like, we're in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why. I still to this day don't know why those ads were up. But there's this one guy that we met that we really touched, and he somehow found us in the early days of the internet. Things were very different back then. You didn't just find bands.
The accessibility back then was like, you kind of learned, knew like, just through.
There's no internet fame. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But so worst part, just not it going how we were hoping it would go. Best part was basically everything else.
Yeah.
Did you have like a favorite venue looking back? Like
It was Chain Reaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that reunion
That was the only
show-
place that we played that people would just show up and be like, we got a show.
yeah.
Well, on that, is there going to be a reunion show? Would you ever play Chain Reaction ever again?
I wouldn't say never, but it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
I would, you and I were talking during the break. We're always in different points.
Yeah.
There's been times where Ryan wants to do it, but I don't. And, vice versa and vice versa. Right now, Chad is like, I'm good. And we're like, I understand that because I was like that last time people asked us to play a show. But yeah, maybe.
That's
And
like
we also, when someone does ask us to play, I don't get super excited about it, which tells me I probably shouldn't.
yeah, but I mean, you maybe wouldn't get excited, but all of us would be excited.
Right.
So
But
Do
I
it for
also
us.
wouldn't
There's
wanna-
got to be a
I
part of
wouldn't
you
wanna-
that like wants to though,
No,
right?
no, yeah, I would have fun, but it's like I would want to be like playing and Name Taken was so genuine. Like I'll never forget when my brother first saw me play a show when I was in my freshman year of high school, And he's like, dude, I don't even know who that was up there. Like, I couldn't believe you were like out there acting like that. That's so not you.
Yeah.
I couldn't be like that now. Like, because it came out of me of like an artistic expression. And now it'd just be like, I'm just playing the hits for you guys.
Is this what you want?
Is this what you want to hear? And start crying, but for all the wrong reasons.
Dude, when I look or think back on that show, like the reunion show, it was like seeing you guys up there. It's different. It's maybe, and I haven't thought of this
In 2007?
Yeah, like it's a part of you guys that I haven't like, or part of you that I can't ever like. You don't see anymore when you're up there. Like you are a different person. You're like in your element and doing that. But fans would want to see that, regardless of whether or not you are that same energetic, kid that's up there, or if you're the 40-year-old version that's just going to
40-year-old what?
just get up there. You have a kid, I know that. No. But if you go up there and just dude, even if you mailed it in, I think we'd all just enjoy it.
That's what I would be afraid of.
I guess you're right.
But also,
No,
like,
you're
obviously,
right.
there's the fear of, which I don't think would happen. There's the fear of, like, what if people literally don't show up? Like, that would be really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, 6 people like that show
Yeah.
out wherever
But yeah,
it
like,
was.
let's say, like, I think we're big enough. We're gonna play this venue that holds 800 people, and like 400 people show up, and we didn't want to be there that bad. I was like, all that waiting for that, huh? That'd be a real bummer. But I will say, it does feel like we're more people like us more now than they did 20 years ago. It seems that way. I don't know if that's just because of the internet or people are nostalgic, but I hear from people way more than I used to hear from people.
I
Which is
think
weird.
that, I understand. You can just see it in the way that people talk about it. And maybe it's just because, I don't know, maybe I'm like cynical about music that's come out like recently, but there's just like not the same. You don't get that same, you can't recreate that time.
It's terrible.
But comparatively, it is. You don't have that same feeling and what goes into making these albums. It just seems like people put out music so easily, and it's just there's not enough care that goes into it. You know what I mean? I think maybe that's why, in retrospect, like people look at that kind of album and what went into it, and they feel nostalgic and they want to hear it.
Yeah, I think there's still amazing, incredible music. There's just more of everything. It's like Netflix. Like Netflix still has amazing movies on it, but it also has 10,000 horrible movies, and that didn't used to exist. So,
well, on that, what's like some music that you listen to now that like, are you still listening to like Blink-182? Are you still listening to Dookie?
I actually probably mostly stopped listening to Blink-182 by the time I even met Mark and Tom, but it's still like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible person to ask that question to, because I literally find like one band a year. I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to this all year.
Beach
like,
House still?
Yeah, that was like a 5-year thing. I still love Beach House. They're incredible. But like right now, it's this band called Always.
Okay.
ALVVAYS.
Oh.
They're our daughter's favorite band.
Oh.
Because I think I've told you this before. I grew up not caring about cartoons and kids shows and stuff. Like, it's just not for me. I don't want to have to sit around and do that with my daughter and be bored. So from a very young age, she's only 14 months old right now, I was like, I want to try to get her into music. So instead, we just play live music a lot. And anytime I put this band Always on, she would just like stare at the screen.
Yeah.
And now that she's bigger, anytime she hears it, no matter what she's doing, she stops what she's doing and dancing. So I think you guys would love them. I mean, I'll send you guys more songs, but they're a very diverse band. But yeah, they're my jam right now. For a couple years recently, it was The War on Drugs was my favorite band. I still love them a lot too, but yeah, I'm a bad person to ask that question because I just get on a kick of something and that's my thing.
I'm that way too.
Since I was like 17, probably, I would just have a very small group of bands that I just listen to all the time.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sometimes, and I don't know if you get this from like your from your wife or not, but I'll play out a song. I'll just play it over and over, and it's kind of gets annoying for them.
I do that to Nana, poor girl. She does it to me too, though. So whatever.
Well, on that like the daughter songs too. Mila, my daughter, is a big Name Taken fan. She listens. Her favorite song is Control. She knows as soon as it comes on, it's Uncle Blake's song. She loves listening to it. She'll rock out with me. So.
Thanks, Mila.
Just want to mention that.
As long as she's not stealing our music.
Well, Blake, I got a little bit of a story. So we went on Reddit yesterday.
Yeah.
And there is a thread about you guys. And Reddit. I posted a thing that said, going to interview Blake from Name Taken on podcast tomorrow. What would be one question that you could ask him about the band? And we had a response. And so this person, we'll put this in here so this person can watch it. And they said, why did everything end? Generally one of the best bands I've heard. Based on a slight bit of research, it seemed like they just stopped when they had something good. So
Well, thank you.
let's
What's that username?
I think
Let's
you
give
read
him
it,
a little
user
shout out.
Funboy78.
Agile Air,
Thanks, Agile.
Agile Air 3283, something or other,
All right.
whatever that means.
That's a bot.
So yeah, what kind of did it?
What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened? It's so easy to answer. Like we mentioned, just were on tour for a super long time, weren't seeing success. And that was already kind of, beating us up a little bit, but it wasn't that big of a deal. It was like, we'll go back and we have a record label and we'll start the next thing and see what happens. So we got home after basically touring nonstop for a year plus. And we're like, let's try to write an album. And while we were touring, we were obviously, at 19 years old at this point, you're maturing very rapidly. So you're listening to very different things. Your taste is changing. So we didn't know like what kind of music we wanted to write when we got home. And when we started to figure out what kind of music we wanted to write when we got home, we realized we are not talented enough to write that kind of music because we'd write songs that sounded like what we wanted to do, but it just wasn't authentic or right. And that's probably, again, due to our lack of knowledge of music or skill or whatever it was. So that was already another ding. And like, it's okay, we'll come back. This is how songs work. You sit down, you come back to it. But then, I think maybe Chad turned 20. And we're like, man, we're getting old. We're still so young.
Oh,
but
God,
to us,
go
that
back
was
to
like,
that
oh man,
time.
life should be starting. And I think collectively, me, Ryan, and Chad, not sure about Juan, our drummer at the time. I'm really not sure what he thought, but we just kind of thought we better start our lives now.
Yeah.
Like if this isn't going to be the thing, we got to start now. If we're going to go to college, I don't want to be a 35-year-old going to college. No shade on that. Awesome for you. But we didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And we were just like, okay, what if we just like don't really break up, but we just aren't a band right now, and we just focus on doing our school thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. And over the course of that, we still, me, Ryan, and Chad especially, still would record songs and play and stuff. And we wrote still a lot of songs we really like. One of them, Nan King, we just put out
Yeah.
last year, 2 years ago, was a recording from almost 20 years ago. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I still like the song, and I put it out.
It was great. Yeah.
But then in that time, we all were getting jobs, going to school, and it was obvious that it was over and just kind of ended.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in 2007, we were like, let's play a show. And we played our only show since then, and that was it.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah, so
show.
yeah, it was really just no success, not capable of writing music that we thought we would want to listen to at that time,
Yeah.
and then realizing if we want to start our lives, it's now and hopefully not way later, and let's just do it.
Yeah. Do you think like if I'm like use the word success just based on like how much people love this album, people on Reddit, people on Facebook, like you hear about it, like do you think that if you kind of kept it going, like eventually you guys would have like gotten some kind of traction?
No, because I don't think the music and the passion was there anymore.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, you either have to be the best songwriters in the world,
Yeah.
or you're so talented that you can just make it work. And
Yeah.
that we just weren't either of those things. And it probably in reality would have put out a second album that was really bad,
You think so?
or the record label been like, I don't know about this, you guys.
Yeah.
But coincidentally, our record label also kind of folded shortly after we broke up because all the bands on the label had left or broken up and stuff. And it just, everything kind of,
yeah.
it was definitely right on the wall in time for everyone.
God, I mean, what a way to like go out. I mean, it's to have this album just such a like a piece of history, and not to kind of like to gas you up and
It
kind
belongs
of
in a museum.
Well, it does. It was up in John Wayne. I think people recognize it now, and it's up at John Wayne, right? And
They
like
took
that
it down,
wall.
but it was there. Yes,
It was up
very
in
cool.
John Wayne in the list of notable Orange County bands. Like this album was up there. This specific album was the 20-year anniversary limited edition run that sold out 250 of each. There was a gold one and a Pepsi one. I got the Pepsi one, but those sold out just like a couple days. Like people are, kind of like they look back on this album with just so many good feelings about it. So
I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
and it's a great, just like, I think just nice to just have this like one capsule, and nothing has kind of tarnished that in the way of like another album that's like messed it up.
Yeah, the sophomore slump could have been a very real thing.
Yeah.
Not like only up from here, but yeah, I think my life has worked out wonderfully, and I'm very happy we broke up. Name taken.
If you could go back though, would you what would you change if you could?
Well, I honestly would not change anything, but if I wanted to contribute to the success of Name Taken, I would have taken every aspect of the business more seriously. We would tour with bands that I would be like, how is this band so popular? They are horrible. Like, this is a terrible band. But then I'd talk to them and I'd learn that they care a lot about their marketing. They care a lot about their persona. They took every aspect of it seriously. So did the people. And, as we've mentioned, we acted like ourselves and we're just kids acting like kids, not really putting out anything that made people want to be a part of the band. Yeah. Which I think would bring people in. So yeah, if I wanted to make Name Taken work, which I'm glad I didn't make Name Taken work, that's what I would have done. I mean, I think us on stage, we were just like, this guy's doing. I like their songs, but what's the deal up there? I also do think, honestly, me and Chad and Ryan still joke about this literally to this day, is we were pretty bad live. I think we should have put a lot more rehearsal time in. And we would practice all the time, but we didn't practice playing a show.
Got it.
We would just practice our songs, be like, all right, we know how to play our songs. Yeah. And that isn't really.
There is, there's like a variation. Like when you hear a band live, there's just like, you kind of like get you want your money's worth. You want to see it kind of, you want to see a performance.
Yeah, really. The production part.
Yeah, and we had a lot of bad shows. We would get on big tours and have, we'd have some great shows. We'd be like, that's what it needs to be like. Yeah. But then we'd have a lot of bad shows and no one would care because like, why would anyone like that? So.
Well, we've talked about it with sports before, which is, at the end of it, it's a business. And as much as we want to kind of separate that part of it, it still is. And ultimately, you're selling seats, you're selling tickets, you're selling albums. You are this is the business part of it. And you don't like to kind of weave it into your art essentially, but essentially, that's what it is.
Yeah. Those people that were in my opinion, bad bands were doing everything else right. And some things matter to other people, whatever. Good for them.
Yeah.
Happy for them.
Yeah. Well, you're still playing music today.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
As I've mentioned to you, like I will literally go a year without playing a single song, but right now I'm in a wave of wanting to play music and stuff. That band Homegrown that I keep mentioning, two of the guys from that band started a Strokes cover band, I don't know, 6 years ago, something like that. And I saw them live so many times. They're awesome. And I love the Strokes. I think they're a rad band. And I remember actually years and years ago, friends asked me if I wanted to be a cover. I was like, I would never be in a cover band. That doesn't sound fun whatsoever. But then I see them, like, they're just playing one band songs. So you get to kind of be that band. Yeah. And they're also really good. Anyways, one of their guitar players moved away. And one of them texted me and I was like, oh my gosh, that's rad. I'm absolutely going to do that. Only problem is I haven't played guitar in about a year. And so I literally had to like build up my callus again and start playing again, and been doing that. And I have my little recording studio in my house that I just record stuff for fun all the time. Recorded your guys' intro song.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've said like that. I mentioned it it's such a fitting thing to have for this podcast. Thank you again for doing that. Yeah. I love it. It's like I'm
happy it's there.
Yeah, it's amazing. But you guys are playing, so Little Strokes are playing at the former Detroit bar. It's the Wayfarer in Costa Mesa. The show is August 2nd. And are tickets on sale? Are you guys doing how are you guys?
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. I think it's going to be free. It should be free. We're definitely trying to make it free. It's super early. Like it's from like 6 to 9. There's like a show after our show. That's how early it is. Yeah. It'd be rad if anyone came to that.
If you have any nostalgia of getting any piece of Name Taken
or Homegrown,
a
way more popular band than Name Taken,
and you want to see some Strokes songs or hear some Strokes songs, go to August 2nd at the Wayfarer in Costa Mesa. I guess visit their website and see. We'll put a link in there for the website. Even to the
probably the Wayfarer. Yeah,
we'll link to the Wayfarer just to see if it's on the calendar, and then you can get more information. Follow it there. Yeah. Man, this has been amazing. I feel like I like I said before, like the whole reason of doing this podcast was just to get you on so we can talk about Name Taken and get some of these questions answered. It's been amazing.
Joe, would you like to say the same thing?
No, dude, this has been this has been awesome. Like it's been, dude, to think back that like we met each other when we were 13 years old and 12 and 13 years old, and you know what I mean? And And just now that we're sitting here, and it's like it's pretty sweet. So thank you for being here.
All right. Well, this has been amazing. I mean, I feel like I could just like stay here all night, but we'll get you home, get you out of here.
Thanks, guys.
But dude, thank you so much again for being on. Thank you as always for the theme music. We're gonna play another Name Taken song out. So if you're hearing it now, this is Name Taken. I don't know. We'll pick one song. I get your permission. I want it on video that we have your permission to use this song.
I was literally gonna say I haven't talked about Name Taken other than one-to-one with a friend in 20 years, so this is pretty gnarly. Thanks, you guys. You can do whatever you want with whatever you want. I don't care.
All right. Well, enjoy this song by Name Taken, and thank you to Blake Means for being here. Go out and see that show. We'll be there. I don't know if you're gonna make it. I'll make it.
Joe said he'd be there. No, he promised.
Yeah.
Say it right now.
He loves
Say it on.
leaving Orange.
Yeah. I don't know if my truck will make it. I might have to get a ride from you.
I got you. I'll put you.
Like, oh, I'm gonna do my hair that night.
All right. Well, that's the episode. We'll catch you guys next time.